jumped on a Greyhound bus. I literally had 25 cents in my pocket.
He scaled from the trunk of his car into a multi-million-dollar operation. One of the most influential small business coaches in America, written more than a dozen books, worked closely with the legend Zig Ziglar.
What it means to me is that I never have to be there, ever. Leadership, people, and systems, everything rises and falls on leadership.
All of business and all of life is about relationships.
You can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what it is that they want. It's very simple mindset. The secret ingredient of success is desire. If you live your life to avoid pain, you'll never experience great gain. If you have a dream but no team, you have to either give up the dream or build up the team. Yeah.
What exactly does turnkey business mean, and how can people make that happen?
Well,
Hey there, my name's Danny Leibrandt, and welcome back to Local Marketing Secrets. Today, I'm joined by one of the most influential small business coaches in America, Howard Partridge. Howard went from growing up in deep poverty to building multiple successful companies. Starting with a cleaning business, he scaled from the trunk of his car into a multi-million-dollar operation. He's written more than a dozen books, worked closely with the legend Zig Ziglar, and has spent decades helping service business owners build turnkey companies that run without them. In this episode, we dive into how owners can escape daily chaos, build real systems, develop a strong team, and scale to $1 million and beyond without burning out. Now, without further ado, Howard, welcome to the show.
thanks for having me.
Of course. So, Howard, I got introduced to you from Jordan Adler, who's really big in network marketing. We got on a call about a week or two ago, talked for about 30 minutes, was really impressed with what you're doing. Jordan Adler was really talking you up, so I was like, okay, I've got to do some research on this guy, got to make sure that we have a good phone call. Was really impressed with everything that you've done so far, and I wanted to jump back to the beginning of your journey.
Yeah,
and I especially respect you because you came from nothing, like I mentioned in the intro. I even saw on your website, I'd like to quote this. You said, you're originally from Lower Alabama. You grew up very poor in Mobile, Alabama, and there were 7 kids living in a little 600 square foot shack. The roof was so bad on that house that when it rained, we had to get out all the pots and pans to catch the leaks. Talk to me about growing up in that time of your life. Like, how hard was that for you?
Well, the funny thing is that at the time I didn't know we were poor. I mean, you just do what you do, and I had a pretty carefree childhood in the sense that when we just go ride our bikes around the neighborhood and come back for dinner. But I mean, looking back on it, I didn't have any money to speak of, but I cut grass. I sold stuff door to door. I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, and I always believed that I could do more. But so it was kind of crazy. There was, 5 guys sleeping in an 8 by 10 bedroom, a bunk bed, and then I think it was a twin bed with myself, and my 2 little brothers. There was like this much space in between the 2 beds and junk piled up. But it was true, it would rain, and so we get out the Tupperware, we get out the pots and pans to catch the leaks, and it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
So then how did you go from that to all the success that you have now? When did you start your first company? How did you break out of poverty?
Well, what happened was I got kicked out of the house. I was a wild kid and wild teenager, and got in a fight with my stepdad. My real dad left when I was a year old, came to Houston, and I got kicked out of the house by my stepdad. We got in a fight, and I'd wrecked a couple cars, and they put me on, restriction. It grounded me, and I didn't pay any attention to that. I went out anyway, and so I was just a rebel kid, and so we got in a fight. He said, don't come back. So I took him seriously, and I jumped on a Greyhound bus. I literally had no money. I jumped on a Greyhound bus. I scraped up enough for a Greyhound bus ticket to Houston. and I literally had 25 cents in my pocket. My real dad, who left when I was a year old, took me in, and I became a waiter. And I worked in these really high end restaurants where we did all this like tableside cooking, wore a tuxedo to work, and all that. And and then that's when I met my wife, and I got married to my wife, Denise Conjet Antoinette Panella, and that's Italian. And so go to New Jersey to get married. When you marry into an Italian family, you don't get wedding presents, you get cash. And
Mm.
so each relative would show up at the wedding with an envelope with money in it. And we got $3,000 in cash money. And there was a friend of the family that I met at the wedding who's tooling around a little red Mercedes convertible. And I was like, I want to know what, and he was just my age. I was 23. And I said, I want to know what that guy does. I want to know if it's legal. Well, it turns out that he had a cleaning business. And so I thought, well, I can do that. So I get back to Houston, and I spent that entire $3,000 in wedding money with a carpet cleaning machine and a vacuum cleaner, and I started cleaning carpet. And I grew that company into a multi-million-dollar business, Turnkey. And I don't want people to, put me in the space of cleaning, because we actually work in 100 different industries, and I've helped every kind of company you could possibly imagine. But yeah, so that's how I got started, and then I got started in coaching about 27 years ago, because I got my business Turnkey, and people wanted to know how I was doing that. So I started teaching my systems. I started teaching, how to work on the business instead of in the business, as my friend Michael Gerber says. He's a good friend. He's actually lives not too far from me nowadays. Got mentored by Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, all the legends. And so here we are today, like you said in the bio. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, I want to make sure to touch on that aspect of turnkey. I know you use that term a lot. I even made sure to use it in the introduction. So,
Yeah.
what exactly does turnkey business mean, and how can people make that
Yeah.
happen?
Well, what it means is that someone could come into that business if they bought that business and they got a key to the door, and it runs without their presence. What it means to you as the owner, what it means to me, is that I never have to be there ever, and people can't wrap their head around that. They just can't wrap their head
Mm.
around that. And I know what's going on in my business, because I am in touch with the guys who run my business, and I just don't have to go down there, right? I can tell you exactly to the penny what our numbers are right now. I can pull up my QuickBooks and tell you exactly, where we're at. But I have a couple of directors, I have managers, I have a team, and we have a great culture. And so, what's required for a turnkey business is, first of all, the right systems, the right people. Secondly, the right people. And then that comes from leadership. So, leadership, people, and systems. So, first, we learned how to build systems. And then I had to learn how to get the right people and build the right culture. And it wasn't easy. And that's why some people think it's a fantasy, but I've proven I've helped a lot of people get turnkey. They're so grateful, because instead of going to work every day, for example, my friend Michael Killen, he spends time with his kids. He's got young kids, and he just spends time with his kids. They go on vacation. He goes down to his shop maybe, 2 times a week, just to, he loves his people. And so that's what we do. I just help people do what I've done. And again, systems. I wrote a book called The 5 Secrets of a Phenomenal Business, which people can get for free on my website. And it outlines the reason I call it The 5 Secrets of a Phenomenal Business is because I learned from Michael Gerber that the secret of a business is the system. The solution, the secret is the system. And so we created systems in the areas of marketing, sales, operations, administration, and leadership. This is how we do it. And then we got better at leadership and got better at bringing the right people on, and that's key. I was just thinking about that today. How we if we get the wrong person in, we help them get out, and we keep the right people, and we have a great culture where people want to work for us, and it impacts their life. And so they're willing to do. And I teach leadership. I teach a lot of leadership, and I learned from John Maxwell, who's also a friend, and I was his very first coach. I learned from him that everything rises and falls on leadership. And so leadership is the most important thing. And that's the challenge that business owners have. Three challenges. Number one, they don't build systems. So they're chained to the business because they never document this is how we do it. And then the second challenge that they have is they don't really understand how to build relationships, and they don't understand this dynamic between themselves and their team members. They micromanage, they use old school techniques of command and control. They never actually let go. And that brings me to the third challenge, which is leadership, is that we've never really been trained in leadership. We've never really been taught leadership. And that's what really will set you free as a business owner, is really understanding what leadership is, understanding how to build relationships, not just with team members, but with people in general. And, leadership, so toughest, the toughest person to lead is ourselves. So everything rises and falls on leadership. Toughest person to lead is ourselves. So we have to start with personal development. And that's why my relationship with Ziglar was so important, is because Zig was all about personal development, positive self-image, positive thinking, building winning relationships, setting goals, staying focused, and moving forward every day. And so you got to build yourself first, and then you build people, and those people run your company for you.
Love that. Okay, so
Yeah.
three key aspects: systems, people, leadership. You need
Yeah.
all three. And you also,
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to touch on Zig Ziglar, because I've watched a lot of podcasts that you've been on. You often mention Zig. Can you tell
Yeah.
me, I mean, for people that don't know, who was Zig Ziglar, and what were some of the top lessons he taught you?
Yeah. So Zig was the number one motivational speaker in the world for many years, and probably still today, even though he passed away November 28th of 2012, probably today is still one of the most quoted speakers on earth. And there's two quotes that are, I mean, he has a million quotes. It's like unbelievable. But there's two quotes that I think are the most important. Number one is, he said that you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what it is that they want. So if you break that down, you can. I was I'm on a Facebook group where these guys are just basically saying, you can't run a multi shop. You can't, you can't. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to be able to unless you, change your thinking. And so, you can have everything in life you want. And he said that everybody wants the same nine things out of life. We all want to be happy. We all want to be healthy. We want to be reasonably prosperous. We want to have friends. We have peace of mind. We want to have good family relationships. We want to feel secure. We want to have hope for the future, and we want to love and be loved. And a lot of business owners and just people in general just feel like, oh, that's kind of soft and whatever, but it's not. The fact is that if you help other people get those things, all that stuff will come back to you. And the second one that is a big one is, he said, you are what you are and where you are because of what has gone in your mind. You can change what you are and where you are by changing what goes into your mind. So, what you put into your mind every day, especially about yourself, your own self image, because most people have a poor self image, and especially about what you can do, and having a positive view of other people. Oh, well, you can't trust people. Well, the thing is that that's probably not the best thing to put in your mind, because the way you think about people, you'll. The other thing I learned from Zig is you'll treat people how you see people,
Mm.
and if we don't see people as being able to change, I'm a person who changed. I know that a person can change. I know that a person can learn the systems, can learn how to build relationships, can learn to be a leader. I know that. And that's why I'm trying to tell these guys on these forums is, look, what one man can do, another can do. Okay. Like, there's plenty of people who aren't as good looking as you, aren't as smart as you, that are blowing the doors off of it. So if they can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, being an uneducated, barely got out of high school, throwaway welfare kid, so can you. I mean, and the beauty about a home service company, like pest control or cleaning or HVAC or plumbing or something like that. Now, some of those need licenses, but you know, um, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You don't have
Mm.
to go to school and get a degree. You don't have to go, get pass a CPA exam or be an attorney or an architect or whatever. Man, I got a machine and went out there and started helping people, you know.
Hmm.
And the other thing that helped me is being a waiter in a really high end restaurant. I learned about the high end customer service experience, and I brought that straight to my business.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to dive a little bit more into home services because I don't know, some stats vary, but I think people agree that around 4 to 7% of businesses across the US are below $1 million a year. So why do you think that is? So why are people struggling to pass that $1 million threshold? What's holding home services back?
It's very simple mindset. And so the other
Mm.
thing I learned from Zig is that the secret ingredient of success is desire. So what happens is people daydream a little bit. They think they maybe they dream about having, a bigger company, or maybe they dream about being able to sit on the beach and while their business runs or whatever. They might be daydreams, but is that what you really want? And do you really want it? Well, so the challenge is people don't have a true desire because they don't really have a vision. So desire comes from a vision, and a vision comes from belief. I wrote a book called FTI, and I explain in that book how this works is that they don't believe, right? So either it's a subconscious, self-image issue that they've had all their life, or they are listening to other people like, oh, you can't have a multi-truck, whatever, blah 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 blah. There's all these barriers, and the truth is that it's tough. So if you don't
Mm.
have a high level of desire, if you don't have a compelling vision, if you don't believe that you can get there, then you're going to fail to implement. You're not going to do the things that need to be done. And so that's the reason, is that they have become convinced for one reason or another that it's not possible for them, or they are not willing to do the work required, even if they know that it's possible. And I think, honestly, I think what really happens is people, unfortunately, in this country, we are taught from an early age that success, it's not necessarily taught, it's just caught, that rich people are bad and that success is somehow compromising your values. Okay. And nothing could be farther from the truth. First of all, money doesn't make the man, it reveals the man. So if
Mm.
you're a bad person, guess what? Everybody's going to see it. I think that's probably what people are afraid of. Like, man, if I like, I better, kind of duck down, not shine a light on myself because maybe people find out what I'm really like. Well, the
Mm.
question is, do you want to be a better person? And so there's a lot of this stinking thinking, as Mr. Ziglar used to say, that's going around. And but that's the case. If you want to have a multi-truck company, if you want to be turnkey, here's another clue. You need to understand why that is. So I got turnkey because when I got kicked out of the house, I got taken away from my favorite beach in the whole world. And here I am in Houston, Texas with traffic and cars and concrete and all that. Like, I just want to be on the beach. And so I thought, well, if I get my business turnkey, then I can just go to the beach anytime I want to, which became true. But then people wanted to know how I was doing it, and I started training and everything. Now I basically live my life for my coaching clients and my team, but I have a couple beautiful dream homes at the beach. I get to go a lot, so I'm good. But so you need to understand your purpose, and that's what I get into in my book, FTI. You got to understand your potential. You got to have a compelling picture. You got to understand, you have a purpose, why you do what you do. And so then once you have all that, then you can start building the people, the processes, and your plan. And the fact is that it just everywhere you look, there's all kinds of evidence. Like, what do these other people really have that you don't have? Knowledge, experience, connections,
Mm.
which you can make those connections. You can find the people to help you. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so it's a lot of it is mindset. You also mentioned a huge part of it is desire. Do you
Yeah.
think that aiming for money isn't enough then? It has to be what the money is used for, like to provide for your family or the trips or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it'll work. It'll work if you just want to be rich and you just want to have a lot of money. It'll work, but your life just will be shallow. That's all. You know, there's plenty of people
Mm.
who have built
Yeah.
businesses because of the love of money, but they have, as Scripture says, been pierced with many a pang because you know it's like,
Yeah.
if you get caught up in money, you're leaving more important stuff behind. But I'm here to tell people you can have both. I mean, I never now wanted to be a millionaire. I like on my goal list, be a millionaire by, in my case, it was 45 because I kind of got a late start. But, you guys that are younger and all the stuff you guys know, it's just amazing. But it's hard to believe, honestly, what my net worth is. Because when and especially since at one time I got my business in a lot of debt, I wasn't charging enough, I was putting stuff on credit. And when I got my money mindset right, I'm writing a book right now. Well, actually, I just finished a book with Brian Tracy called How to Make Phenomenal Profits in Your Business. And it'll come out in May. And so, you have to have the right money mindset, understand that money is a tool, right? Money is a tool. It's like a rope. I heard a guy one time say it's like a rope. Like, you can use it to help somebody out of a ditch, or you can use it to hang yourself. And
Mm.
so if money, the other thing I learned from Zig is this wheel of life, right? There's spiritual, mental, physical, career, no, sorry, family, career, financial, and personal. I put them in that order because of the importance of, that's the priority. But, so money is a tool. It's required, especially if you're going to build a big business, because you're going to get some surprises. We just, in my coaching program, we just did an episode today on how to reduce your taxes for 2025, moves that you can make in 2025. And, you start making money, you get hit with a big tax bill. Okay, what's going on? Or, you start hiring employees, your overhead goes up, your labor rate goes up, and you're trying to figure it all out. And so you need money. In that book and in my training, I teach that healthy profits overcome business evils. Like if you have to shut down because of weather, we had COVID, we had maybe an employee steals from you or steals a big account, or a big account quits, or somebody doesn't pay you, or somebody sues you. There's all kinds of things that can happen in a business, and I think that that's also a reason that people don't get bigger. They've seen these nightmares, and they don't want to go through that. So, if you live your life to avoid pain, you'll never experience great gain.
Love that.
It's just as
Yeah, no,
simple as
I
it's as simple
I
as
love
that.
that
Because
lesson.
yeah, you're gonna have to overcome some stuff. But the beauty is every single thing. Like John Maxwell also wrote a book called "Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn." I hate some of the stuff I had to go through, and I don't want to go through it again. But it builds your character, and you know how to handle those things, and you can share that with other people. So it's not going to be honky dory, but it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it because, man, you can build a business from scratch that makes you a multimillionaire, and and people run the business for you. I mean, how much greater could it get than that?
Yeah,
Right?
definitely. No, and I want to push on one of the many lessons there, which was that money isn't evil, business isn't evil, capitalism isn't evil. It's actually, when you think about it, it's you providing a service, it's you trying to help people. If you have a local pest control company or a local HVAC company, you're trying to help people in the area with that service. Like, I think especially with home services, it is a very real need. People actually need these services. There's nothing wrong or evil about it. And to make a lot of money from it is just kind of the beauty of helping other people.
Yeah, because the thing is, so yeah, let me unpack that a little bit because that's so important. Here's the thing: not only do people need the service, but every one of us have what I call unethical competitors. So you're saving someone from getting ripped off by someone that doesn't care about people. So if you really
Hmm.
care about people more than money, then make sure that you serve those people and you take care of your business. Because if your business isn't profitable and you end up going out of business because you didn't charge enough, because you had some things happen to you that you weren't able to, absorb because you didn't have cash, because you weren't successful financially, I'm sorry to tell you that your favorite customers aren't going to send you money. They'll
Hmm.
they'll use your service, but they're not going to go, "Oh, you're struggling? Let me give you some money." No. So, you need to charge what you're worth. You need to charge enough to make a profit. And the way that I got out of that mess was, um, I had a real issue with, I was probably overconfident. Like, doesn't matter how much debt we have. I'm good at marketing. I'm good at sales. We'll just keep growing the company. Our company's growing, and then finally the debt catches up with you. And I hired a consultant by the name of Ellen Rohr. Did you have her on your podcast?
I just had her on my podcast that went out
I
yesterday.
thought so. Yeah, yeah. So Ellen's a good friend of mine. She's a colleague of mine. She helped me get out of debt, and now we coach her clients for her. In fact, we're doing a big, not a big, but a very high level financial mastermind in one of my homes in Florida here in a couple weeks, and I'll be with her next week actually in Marco Island, Florida. And so we're good partners, good colleagues. And so if you go to her website, you can download her books. I'm sure she talked about that. You know, how much should I charge? Number one, where did the money go? Number two. And so, you know, getting financially literate because most small business owners, unfortunately, they don't know their numbers, and the reason they don't know their numbers is because they're afraid of the numbers. They don't. They don't. It seems too complicated. It's not. It's actually very simple, and it will help you reach your goals. So I had to make that decision that I was going to understand my numbers. Doesn't mean that you have to always be the one crunching the numbers and all that stuff, but you do need to understand your profit and loss. You need to understand, you know, this balance sheet. All it is a statement that says what you own and what you owe. That kind of be nice, right? Know what you
Hmm.
own and what you owe. Yeah, in a snapshot. So yeah, get Ellen's stuff. It'll really be helpful.
Yeah, no, Ellen is awesome. So for people listening, make sure to watch that previous podcast with her. That should be 2 or 3 weeks before this one, and also make sure to get her books and all of that stuff. And one of the last questions I wanted to ask you, Howard, was I actually wanted to bring up a quote from a TED talk that you did. I thought this was really powerful, and I'd just like you to kind of talk about this and expand on the concept. So the
Yeah.
quote was, "All of business and all of life is about relationships." What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, what I mean by that is that, as the old saying goes, in fact, I have another book coming out this year uh, on my birthday on September 15th. I have two books coming out this year. This one is with Donald Miller, and he's doing the forward, and his imprint is publishing it. The working title right now is Referrals Made Simple. I built my companies through referrals. I know you guys do SEO and digital, which is very necessary today, but I built my companies through relationships. And so there's an old saying that says your network equals your net worth, right?
Hmm.
It's not who you know, or I mean, not what you know, it's who you know. And by the
Hmm.
way, it's not who you know, but it's what you know about who you know. And by the way, it's not who you know and what you know about who you know, but it's who knows you. And it's not who knows you, but it's what they know about you. So
Hmm.
going back to Zig's quote, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what it is that they want, right? So you focus on serving people, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. So, for example, one of the so people do business with those that they know, like, and trust, right? So
Hmm.
all of business, all of life is about relationships, because the fact is that everybody wants those nine things out of life. And so if you help them to be happier, healthier, more prosperous, and so on and so forth, and you give to them, you help them, you serve them, they're going to want to give that back to you, right? And so one of the things that we've done to build our business is to uh, identify referral sources, identify people who are who already have our target market clients in their audience, on their list or as in their customer base and build a relationship. How do you build a relationship? You help people. You know,
Mm.
give to them, help them. And then so I've been doing this for so long that now it's just how I live. You know, I'm always looking for people, looking uh, for how I can help people because I know that if I plant that seed, somehow that will come back to me. Now, it may not come back to me right now today. It might not come back to me in the same way. But you know, I mean, I entertain strangers, okay? Because you never know. I've gotten employees that way. I've gotten connections that way. Everywhere I go, I make people feel good, and I ask them what their story is, and if it's a person who who has my clients in their circle of influence, then obviously I want to add as much value to them uh, as I can. I mean, why am I here? Because you're helping me, you know, get my story out there. And that happened before this, and that's how you found out about me. And so it's just a perpetual thing. And so, unfortunately, people think too much in the transactional, like,
Mm.
you know, I help you, you help me, or I pay for this ad and I get a return, or you know, it's more transactional. They don't want to have a relationship, and again, they're missing out. They're missing out on the fullness of a phenomenal life.
Amen. I agree on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been pushing relationship building super hard myself. I see this podcast is part of that. It's almost like
that's right. Yeah,
systemized networking or relationship building that I can
yeah,
make sure that all the people that I want to talk to, well, now there's almost an excuse to talk to them, like you here. So,
yeah.
yeah,
So
total,
now we're friends, right?
yeah,
Relationship. Yeah,
uh-huh, exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Well, cool. I know we have to wrap up here, Howard. I've got one more
yeah.
question for you, and that
Sure.
is, what is your message to the home service owners or maybe even agency owners out there? What do you think people need to know? What do you want to tell them?
I want them to know that you can be who you want to be, you can do what you want to do, and you can have what you want to have. And and uh, you have to do that in such a way that adds value to other people. See, the unfortunately, people want to be somebody today that causes everybody else to have to, you know, twist and turn and you know change their whole deal to be a part. No, you want to serve people, and you can reach your goals. You reach your goals by helping other people reach their goals. That's what I would say.
Mm, love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Howard. This has
Yeah,
been awesome.
my
Love
pleasure.
spending time with you. Yeah, yeah. So, to wrap up here, where can people find you, learn more about you, follow you on social media, and all that stuff?
Yeah, just search howardpartridge.com. You can get my book, The Five Secrets of a Phenomenal Business. We'll send you the book and we'll send you free business building tips. You can search my name and find out probably more than you want to know about me. So, yeah.
Cool. And also, so you've got over 12 books at this point. What would you say are like your top three must read for people?
Definitely Five Secrets of a Phenomenal Business. If and then FTI. And then I wrote one, I think that was last year or the year before. Last year, I think it was How to Build a Phenomenal Dream Team. And the first part asked the question, where are you going? Second part two is leadership. Part three is how to build that team around you. If you have a dream, but no team, you have to either give up the dream or build up the team. And unfortunately, too many people have given up their dream, and now it's too late. And so they want to say, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. No, it's not possible." Don't do that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. It's make sure to get those 3 books. I'm sure you can get them on Amazon or whatever
Yeah.
platform you'd like to buy them. And
Yeah.
thanks again for coming on, Howard. This has been awesome.
Yeah. My pleasure. Thanks, Danny. Take
Of
care,
course.
everybody.
Hey guys, Danny Leibrandt here. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Local Marketing Secrets. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any key takeaways, questions, or guest recommendations, I'd love to hear them. Finally, if you're listening on podcast platforms like Spotify or Apple, please leave us a review and tell me what you think there. All right, that's all I've got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.